I was brought to the Koo family. The Koo family protected the fake daughter, warning me not to try stealing the affection that belonged to her. I scratched my head awkwardly. Not really. I just wanted to ask, do you want to attend Fiona's funeral? The Koo family's faces suddenly changed. What do you mean? I'm not Fiona. I'm her friend. Fiona, she died last week. Chapter 01. The moment I stepped into the Koo family's home, hostility surged toward me from all directions. Having grown up in the Lee village where food was scarce, my senses for hostility were sharper than anyone else's. On the sofa in the main hall sat two handsome men and two beautiful women. The fake daughter, Tiffany Koo, looked at me with red-rimmed eyes, pitiful and teary. You must be my sister, right? I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I took your identity. Now that you're back, I'll just leave. The Koo family's brows instantly furrowed after hearing this, displeasure flashing in their eyes as they looked at me. I raised an eyebrow. Don't. Their brows relaxed. I added, hurry up, run. Quinn immediately jumped up and pointed at me. Don't go too far. Don't think that just because you've returned to the Koo family you can bully others however you like. I spread my hands, helpless. No need to be so tense. I was only joking, Quinn said coldly. This isn't funny at all. This isn't that shabby village you grew up in. You can't just act wild here. Tiffany spoke gently. Mom, even though sister doesn't really look like you, she's still your biological daughter. Everyone's scrutinizing gaze fell on my face. Indeed, I didn't look like them at all. The only resemblance, perhaps, was that I looked like someone else entirely. I said, has it occurred to you that maybe I'm not Fiona? Fiona Koo was the real daughter who had been mistakenly swapped at birth. I was only her friend. The Koo family froze. Then their expressions turned even more disgusted. Then where did she go? Why isn't she here today? What trick is she trying to play? Is she trying to deliberately get our attention? Weren't they embarrassed to say such shameless things? I gave an awkward smile. No, I just wanted to ask if you want to attend Fiona's funeral. The Koo family's faces darkened again. What do you mean? I'm not Fiona. I'm her friend. Fiona died last week. These words exploded like thunder in the silence of the Koo household. Quinn frowned deeply. This must be her refusing to come, making someone lie for her. Just another trick to gain sympathy. So full of schemes before even returning to the Koo family, no wonder you grew up twisted. Father Koo's face was stern. I don't care who you are, but this joke isn't funny. Uncle, who's joking with you? Do you think every day is April Fool's Day? I spread my hands and walked toward the door. True or not, you'll see for yourselves. Today happens to be Fiona's 7th day memorial. Chapter 02. The Koo family drove me to Lee village, the place where the fake daughter's parents lived. The roads in the village were rugged and hard to travel. When the car could no longer move forward, we had to get out and walk. The stench of cow dung along the path instantly changed the expressions on the Koo family's faces. Tiffany couldn't help but gag. Quinn's face was grim. You'd better pray everything you said is true. I raised my brows in surprise and looked at him. What did you just say? Are you praying that your real sister is dead, just so your fake sister can keep her place? Quinn realized he had spoken wrongly. I didn't mean it that way. I was saying. I quickened my steps, soon leaving Quinn behind. Then I added casually, when I was little, I was bitten by a dog, so I'm especially scared of barking. Quinn's face instantly darkened. He was about to say something else, but I cut him off. We're here. In front of us was an ordinary little mound of dirt with a wooden board stuck in it. Fiona's name written on it. Such graves were everywhere in the countryside. Nothing unusual about it. The Koo family froze, their expressions identical, shocked, startled, and disbelieving, with a hint of disdain. Mother Koo covered her lips, trembling as she asked, "This is Fiona?" I nodded. Her voice quivered with sobs. How did she die? I stared at Fiona's name, my voice utterly calm. She was beaten to death by the Lee family, because Fiona had finally managed to get admitted into college, and she secretly saved money to go. But the Lee family found out. They originally planned to marry her off to an old bachelor in the village for a bit of bride price. When they discovered she wanted to run away, they got furious. Just like before, they beat her, but this time, they accidentally killed her. The Koo family's faces went pale. Tiffany stammered, But everyone knows killing is against the law. I turned back and sneered. And doesn't everyone know that swapping children is against the law? Tiffany's eyes reddened, about to cry again. Are you a demon born from a leaky faucet? I asked. Tiffany glared at me, aggrieved. I ignored her and continued. Until the very end. Fiona never knew her real parents weren't these devils from the Lee family. Mother Koo's tears finally fell, but Quinn still refused to believe. Who knows if this is really Fiona? What if this is just her trick to get our attention? To make us regret it? Father Koo scolded him sharply. Yet when his eyes turned back to me, they carried doubt and scrutiny. I laughed, a laugh filled with rage. I closed my eyes, taking deep breaths to press down the fury boiling inside me. And at the same time, I felt how unworthy Fiona's fate was. By the time Fiona learned she had been deliberately switched at birth by the Lee family, it was already too late. Her eyes had glimmered with hope. Ollie, can you go see them for me? If they're good people, just tell me. If they're not, then I don't want them anymore. She coughed up a mouthful of blood. Ollie, I'm leaving. Take care of yourself. And Fiona left. Just 18. Accepted into a good university. Yet before she could experience life, she was gone. The Koo family had known for a long time that their daughter had been swapped at birth. But Tiffany's college entrance exam was approaching. They feared the truth would affect Tiffany. So they dragged it out. They never really valued their biological daughter. Coupled with the Lee family's deliberate concealment, it was no surprise the Koo family didn't know Fiona Koo had died. So when the Koo family came looking, I followed the driver to them, suppressing the coldness in my eyes. I told the Koo family, since you don't believe me, I'll make you believe. Chapter 03. The Lee family's front gate wasn't closed, and as one approached, voices of conversation could be heard from inside. Such a pity that girl Fiona is dead. What about old man Lee then? Should we return the bride price first? Damn it. That 20,000 yuan bride price has already been spent. With what would I return it? That dead girl, why couldn't she die earlier or later? Of all times, she had to die now. What rotten luck. The thug spat, full of frustration. Shit. Why did you hit her so hard back then? You went and beat someone to death for no reason. Now where are we supposed to find another woman? Mother Lee pouted with grievance. I was just furious that this girl wanted to run off with money. Wasn't I? She secretly saved up so much behind our backs. Beating her to death was too light a punishment. Father Lee lit a cigarette, eyes suddenly gleaming. Don't we still have our real daughter who's been raised in a rich family? Why not go ask her for some money to smooth things over? The thug grinned lewdly. I heard the Koo family spoils that daughter of theirs. She gets pocket money in the millions. As her family, isn't it only natural for us to ask her to support us a little? Mother Lee nodded. Right. That dead girl enjoyed years of fortune. It's about time she repaid us. Outside the door, the Koo family's faces darkened with rage. They were now convinced Fiona had truly been beaten to death by these heartless people. Quinn couldn't help but rush in, grabbing the thug by his collar and landing a punch. You beasts! Who the hell are you? I'm Fiona's real brother. What? Father Koo ordered the driver who had come with them to teach the Lee family a lesson. But a driver was just a driver. He knew nothing of fighting. The Lees weren't weak either. They grabbed farm tools and fought back. Mother Koo, overstimulated, fainted on the spot. Tiffany sobbed and wailed, but no one paid her any attention. The scene devolved into utter chaos. I stood outside, calmly watching it all. A man approached from the side, asking, "Satisfied?" I shook my head. Not enough. Far from enough. Compared to everything Fiona went through, this doesn't even come close. The man frowned. Then what do you want? I spoke softly. I want the Koo family to lose what they treasure most. And in the end, meet a miserable death. If you can make that happen, I'll follow you in everything from now on. Fine. Chapter 04. I didn't rush to leave. Father Koo, face dark with gloom, came to me and whispered a warning. I hope no one else learns of what happened today. I met his gaze and smiled faintly. And how do you plan to handle this matter? This is our family's business. Father Koo paused, then added, we'll give Fiona the explanation she deserves. It better be that way. Father Koo turned back, giving me a few appraising glances before nodding in agreement. but the disdain and perfunctory attitude in his eyes were practically overflowing. I kept the same expression as I watched him walk away. Chapter 05. I arrived at a certain courtyard and stopped in front of a gravestone covered with blooming flowers. On the gravestone was a photo of a girl, her smile as radiant as the blossoms. Fiona, I've come to see you. You won't blame me for secretly moving your grave, will you? I went to see your biological parents. They're not good people at all. They actually protect the daughter of the culprit like she's some kind of treasure. Ha ha ha. The funniest thing is, they actually mistook me for you. Isn't that ridiculous? The place was quiet, with only the faint sound of the wind and my own murmuring. I gently stroked the black and white photo. It was one I had someone draw. Fiona never had any photos taken, and there was no so-called memorial portrait to use. On the night Fiona died, a middle-aged couple came to me and revealed my true background. I was actually the real daughter of the Ning family. Years ago, a nanny had deliberately switched the babies in their swaddles, and because of that, I had suffered over 10 years of hardship. I laughed. Who would have thought fate would play such a huge joke on me? No wonder that family beat and cursed me constantly. No wonder my life was worse than that of an animal. Turns out, I wasn't even their biological daughter. Their real daughter was enjoying wealth and comfort in a rich household. But my mind buzzed endlessly. All I could think about was that Fiona was dead. Fiona had been killed by those beasts. I no longer had a sister. That sister, so kind she hardly seemed real, had left me forever. The Ning family waited quietly for my answer. They didn't scold me for not responding right away. After a long while, I spoke softly, since you're my biological parents, you must be very wealthy, right? Father Ning nodded. I gently tucked Fiona's hair behind her ear. My voice hoarse, I have one request now. Could you give my sister a proper burial? She liked quiet places, places where no one would disturb her. After a moment of silence, the Ning family agreed. We buried Fiona in a courtyard. It was peaceful and beautiful. Afterward, I inquired about the price of the land. Even a small patch here cost a fortune, yet dozens of square meters were reserved just for Fiona. Fiona had never lived in a good house while she was alive. Who would have thought that only after death would she finally have one? I wanted to laugh, and I wanted to cry. Chapter 06. Mother Ning gently patted my shoulder. Ollie, let's go back. I nodded. The Ning family's home was even larger and more splendid than I had imagined. Here, I met another girl. She was the biological daughter of those heartless beasts. When she saw me, she nervously stood up and whispered, "Sister." I looked her over for a while, fair-skinned, beautiful, with that kind of innocence molded by money and comfort. The dress she wore looked soft just from its texture, and the diamonds around her neck shone so brightly they hurt the eyes. Later, I learned this kind of gem was called fire diamonds. Tens of thousands for just 1 carat. I turned back to look at my biological parents. So, you're not going to tell me you plan to keep her, are you? Mother Ku shook her head. This child feels guilty for wronging you, so she wants to stay and atone. Atonement? I was a little surprised. Emma stepped forward, bowed at a 90-degree angle, and said softly, "I'm sorry. I took your place and caused you to suffer for so many years. I know a light apology means nothing, but I still want to do something to make it up to you. Please, don't rush to drive me away. Listen first. I've learned Sanda, Taekwondo, and boxing. I'm pretty skilled, and I'm strong too. I've also dabbled in other fields. If you don't mind, I can be your assistant. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it." To put it bluntly, she meant she would fight wherever I pointed. Of course, if you find me an eyesore, I'll leave the Ning family tonight. I won't take away anything they've given me, and I won't accept any help from them in the future. I'll also work hard to earn money and repay 70% of my future wages to the Ning family for raising me. The remaining 30% will be for survival. She looked at me nervously. The Ning family members said nothing. It was obvious they tacitly agreed. I felt a bit relieved. At least the Ning family knew where to draw the line. But looking at Emma's thin arms and legs, it was hard to believe she was strong and could fight, until I saw her pull 2 trees out of the courtyard with her bare hands. Holy shit. They were pretty big ones too. My cheap brother, Martin, instantly turned dark-faced. That was the cherry blossom tree I just transplanted. Emma looked embarrassed. I just thought it was growing too slowly, so I wanted to loosen it up a bit. Martin gritted his teeth. You look short. Want me to loosen you up a bit? Emma was speechless. Before we came back, Father Ning and Mother Ning had already told me about Emma. Putting everything else aside, Emma was a very capable girl, a rare talent. If she could stay by my side, she would be a great help. And since she was skilled, she could even protect me in critical moments. Besides, in wealthy families, it was common to raise trusted aides from childhood. Emma had grown up in the Ning family since she was little, so her character and loyalty were guaranteed. Now that she felt ashamed before me, she would naturally serve me even better. I nodded. All right. Then you can stay. Emma froze for a moment, then was overjoyed. But her joy came too soon. She still had to spend hours every day tending to that cherry blossom tree she had destroyed. Chapter 07. Fiona was a good girl. Even though the Lee family treated her terribly, she always remained optimistic. When I was little, that family often refused to give me food. Starving and desperate, I sneaked into the kitchen to steal some, but the cupboards with food were locked tight. When they discovered my intentions, they beat me half to death. Just as I was about to fade away, Fiona appeared. She gave me the little food she had left and carried me on her back to beg the village doctor for help. At first, the doctor refused to save me, so Fiona knelt at his door, kowtowing and begging him to treat me. In the end, the doctor agreed, but demanded that she chop and deliver 5 bundles of firewood to him every day. Fiona was already hungry, poorly clothed, and burdened with endless chores. Yet she still kept chopping 5 bundles of firewood daily for the doctor. Eventually, the doctor softened. Whenever Fiona and I were beaten and injured, he was willing to treat us. That was the only guarantee we had for survival. My days in Lee Village were something I never wanted to recall. Too horrifying, like living in hell itself. I thought many times, why not just set everything on fire and burn those beasts to death? If it came to it, we'd all perish together. After all, my life was already unbearable. Since I couldn't live well, why should they? But Fiona appeared like a ray of light. She selflessly helped me. I couldn't understand it. How could someone be so good? To save a person who had nothing to do with her, only to make her own miserable situation even worse. Yet Fiona held me and said, "Don't be afraid, Ollie. I'm your big sister. It's only right that I protect my younger sister." But I never had a sister. My so-called family was nothing but a pack of cannibalistic demons. I still wanted to die. Fiona stubbornly stopped me again and again. Teaching me, she said, as long as we stayed alive, things would get better. There would always be hope. I still remember my expression then, as if I had seen a ghost. I was 2 or 3 years younger than her, but I wasn't stupid. Then it dawned on me. Was she saying there was hope we could wipe out the entire village? Because honestly, there were hardly any good people in Lee Village. That doctor lived outside the village. He rarely had contact with them and wouldn't be affected. And I wanted to see just how long Fiona's kindness toward me would last. Would there come a day when she got fed up with my malice and coldness? When she'd finally curse me, grow distant, and abandon me? The thought made me strangely excited. The venom left in me burned like a fire, pushing me to keep living. But everything ended too abruptly. Fiona was gone. If the Ning family hadn't found me that day, then probably the entire village would have gone down with Fiona by now. Still, I was glad I got to meet Fiona's biological parents, but their actions disappointed me too deeply. Whether they change or not in the future, I won't let them live peacefully. If only they had taken Fiona home earlier, she wouldn't have died. Yet I could already foresee, even if Fiona hadn't died, once back in the Koo family, her life would have been another living hell. The Koo family deserved to die too. Chapter 08. The Koo family brought the Lees to court. With evidence irrefutable, the Lee couple was sent to prison. But Tiffany remained in the Koo household. The matter was handled so discreetly that people in their circle had no idea the Koo family had staged such a drama. My eyes grew cold. This was the Koo patriarch's so-called satisfying answer to me? Keeping that imposter in their home? Emma stood respectfully behind me. Mr. Ning has confirmed that next Monday there will be a recognition banquet to officially announce your identity. Do you see any issue with this? When I shook my head, she continued, then, should we invite the Koo family? Invite them. Make sure they're the most important guests. Understood. The Ning family's recognition banquet was held with great grandeur. Emma Ning went from being the Ning family's young lady to the young lady's assistant. Everyone was waiting to see her make a fool of herself. But she remained calm, always wearing a perfectly measured smile as she greeted the guests. Even when mocked, she replied with a few indifferent words, leaving no flaw for anyone to pick at. I wore a custom champagne-colored gown. It fit me perfectly and concealed the ugly scars on my body. When the Ning family first saw my body full of scars, their reactions were unforgettable. Father Ning, face grim, once again had people take good care of the family who abused me in prison, as long as they didn't die. Anything else was acceptable. Mother Ning hugged me, sobbing uncontrollably. I only patted her shoulder with amusement. What's the big deal? It hasn't hurt for a long time. Mother Ning cried even harder. But to me, these scars were the medals I earned for surviving. I walked onto the second-floor balcony, looking down at the guests below. The Koo family had also come, dressed properly, smiling and chatting with others. There wasn't a trace of sorrow on their faces, and Tiffany obediently followed behind, wearing a beautiful gown and expensive jewelry, completely unaffected. My grip on the wine glass tightened, anger surging inside me. They actually dared to bring Tiffany to my recognition banquet? Martin approached with Emma, speaking gently. It's about to begin. I nodded, handed my glass to Emma, and followed Martin downstairs. Emma took the glass of red wine, but after a few steps, she suddenly realized it was covered in cracks. A hint of fear flashed across her face. What kind of poor quality glass is this? That was close. It could have hurt someone. So this is the Ning family's newly found true daughter? She really does look quite like Madame Ning. Whispers reached my ears, and the Koo family also turned their gaze toward me. They didn't recognize me. Back when I went to the Koo household, I was dressed in shabby, ordinary clothes. Now, I had transformed into the Ning family's real daughter. No one would connect that pitiful girl of the past with the radiant person I was now. I walked up to them with a smile and greeted, Uncle Koo, Auntie Koo, Big Brother Koo. It's been a while. The Koo family froze for a moment. My smile widened. Have you forgotten? We just met last week. Quinn's wine glass trembled, spilling wine onto his suit. Mother Koo's eyes widened, her lips trembling. You are Fiona's friend? Yes. It's me. I nodded, my tone light. Surprised? I was also a child who was switched at birth. My gaze shifted to Tiffany, who was desperately shrinking behind Quinn. I feigned surprise. Why is she still here? You haven't sent her away? If Fiona knew you were still raising the daughter of her killer, she wouldn't rest in peace. The bustling hall instantly fell silent. All eyes turned to the Koo family. Father Koo forced an awkward smile. Miss Ning, today is your special day. Don't bring up such unpleasant matters. It might hurt the harmony between our two families. I laughed. Harmony? I only wanted their family destroyed. My expression darkened. My voice cold. Unpleasant matters? Your biological daughter was beaten to death. Yet you dote on the culprit's daughter. That's what you call an unpleasant matter? The guests instinctively held their breath. Ears pricked. Father Koo's face turned ashen. Miss Ning, this is our family's business. Outsiders have no right to interfere. I said seriously, family business? I'm Fiona's sister. Her matters are my matters. This is my family business too. Fiona is already dead. Can't you let her rest in peace? Must you bring all this up in front of so many people? He acted as though he were the most wronged person in the world. My expression grew calm, my dark eyes locking onto him. Rest in peace? Your so-called peace means bringing this usurping imposter to attend my recognition banquet? Mr. Koo, your biological daughter is still buried in that cannibalistic village. If the Koo family had truly cared about Fiona, they would have chosen a proper resting place for her. They would have realized that beneath that mound of dirt, there was nothing at all. They would have come to question me. But instead of questioning me, they brought an imposter to my banquet. The Koo family, what a bunch of hypocrites. Quinn glared at me coldly. Shut up. I don't care what relationship you had with Fiona. At the end of the day, without blood ties, you're not really family. If you truly cared about her, you should have brought this up in private. And besides, Tiffany was just a child back then. She didn't choose to be switched at birth. You're both girls. Why can't you show her some understanding? Even though I had already seen Quinn shameless before, his words still shocked me. The Koo family was supposed to be a respectable elite household. Even if their children weren't geniuses, they shouldn't be brainless, right? Quinn Koo seemed to realize he had spoken wrongly, his face darkening in embarrassment. The guests murmured among themselves. Is this man really the Koo family's future heir? Feels like he's missing a few brain cells. From what he just said, it sounds like all his years of schooling were wasted. My brain froze just listening to him. Wait a second, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Ning and Fiona were both deliberately switched at birth, right? And he's telling the real daughter, who suffered, to show sympathy for the imposter who grew up in luxury? Is he out of his mind? Clearly. When his mother got pregnancy injections, they must have gone straight into his brain. I recall another family was supposed to form a marriage alliance with him. Maybe they should reconsider. Otherwise, they're just pushing their daughter into a pit of fire. If Miss Ning and Fiona weren't blood related, then they wouldn't really count as family. But Tiffany has no blood relation to the Koo family either. So how does she still have the audacity to show up here as if nothing happened? Is no one going to ask how Fiona actually died? The voices were soft, yet loud enough for everyone to hear clearly. Tiffany's face turned deathly pale. She instinctively wanted to cry, but realized no one in the Koo family cared. Awkwardly, she raised a hand to cover her face. I gave the crowd a bitter smile, my voice filled with sorrow. Fiona was the Koo family's real daughter. Switched at birth, she wasn't supposed to die. She was bright, and she had even been admitted to a good school. But the Lees, the very couple who deliberately swapped the babies, wanted to sell Fiona off to a bachelor in the village. Fiona resisted, tried to escape. They found out, and beat her to death. She died never knowing that her real parents weren't those blood-sucking demons of the Lees. And when I went to the Koo family to tell them the truth, they mistook me for Fiona. Again and again, they humiliated me, telling me not to compete with this imposter for their affection. They called me crude, unworthy of the stage, and even planned to announce to the world that I was just the Koo family's foster daughter. Even if Fiona had survived the lease, I fear she wouldn't have survived her so-called biological parents. The Koo family's faces turned from green to white to red, like actors in an opera. It was truly amusing. I watched with interest, not bothering to hide the malice burning in my eyes. This was deliberate. I wanted to rip away their so-called veil of dignity and expose this nest of maggots under the sunlight. So concerned with appearances? So proud of their family manners? Then let everyone see the Koo family's fine education. Fiona was so kind, but even if she had returned to the Koo family, faced with their true nature, she would have ended up either dead or depressed. As for me, reputation doesn't fill the belly. It doesn't keep you alive. I couldn't care less. Even if the Ning family grew to hate me after today, I still wouldn't care. The real Alicia had long since died in the village. What remains is Fiona's good little sister, and it is only right that a younger sister avenge her elder. Quinn's face darkened as he stepped forward, raising his fist to strike me, but a slender wrist pinned his arm in place. Crack! Quinn clutched his arm and let out a miserable scream. Emma awkwardly pulled her hand back, sneaking a guilty glance at me before quickly lowering her head. Sorry, miss. I didn't think he was that fragile. I barely used any strength, and it just broke. If it's broken, can't it just be set back in place? Oh, right. She suddenly realized, walked over to Quinn, and said, "Stop screaming. I'll fix it for you." Crack. Quinn's scream echoed through the entire hall. The guests looked at one another, but not a single person stepped forward to intervene. Father Ning and Mother Ning simply smiled lightly. Our Ollie is still young, with a bit of a mischievous streak, but she doesn't have a bad heart. Martin stood behind me, coldly staring at the Koo family, even without speaking. His protectiveness was clear. The guests began whispering again. Now this is normal. You protect your own real child instead of treating someone unrelated like treasure. Exactly. Sure, wealthy families prioritize profit, but they shouldn't disregard basic humanity. Some people spoil illegitimate children because at least they share blood. Fine, but to treat someone with no relation as precious while ignoring your own child's death? That's beyond shameful. Hey, Vicky, isn't that your fiancé? Your husband-to-be? Shut up, it's your husband. Father Ku shot Father Ning a cold glare. So this is how the Ning family treats its guests? Father Ning replied with a smiling squint, it's nothing but children's play. Our Ollie hasn't even reached adulthood yet. She's still learning. I hope President Ku can be forgiving. Father Ku's face flushed an ashen blue with anger as he flung his sleeve and stormed out. The rest of the Ku family followed, leaving in disgrace under the scornful gazes of the guests. Chapter 09. The banquet ended in discord. Father Ning came over, giving me a sidelong glance. Satisfied? I nodded. Speaking with amusement, I'll be even more satisfied once the Ku family goes bankrupt. Mother Ning's expression was complicated. But after today, your reputation in this circle will be completely ruined. Reputation is nothing but an external thing. I stopped caring long ago. If it weren't for Fiona, I'd have died in some desolate wilderness already. Mother Ning froze, then patted my back. You're right. Reputation is nothing compared to life itself. But I'm glad you have a grateful and kind heart. I was stunned. I had thought a family like the Nings, so prominent, would care above all for appearances. I had prepared myself for scolding, but she was actually glad I had a grateful and kind heart. Unbelievable. But all that so-called gratitude and kindness, I would only ever give to Fiona. To anyone else, I would likely remain vicious and selfish. Martin nodded at me. After this banquet, the Ning and Ku families have completely torn off their masks. I grew a little nervous. He patted my head gently. Don't worry, the Ku family won't stay arrogant for much longer. Emma leaned close to my ear, whispering, do you want me to get some people, throw Quinn and Tiffany in a sack, and give them a beating? Don't worry, I'll make sure there are no marks. I raised an eyebrow, neither agreeing nor refusing. Mother Ning affectionately held my hand and led me toward the dining room. You didn't eat much at the banquet just now. You must be starving. I had the chef prepare your favorite dishes. Eat more. Look at how thin your arms are. I followed obediently. For some reason, a sour ache welled up in my heart. Why hadn't these good things ever happened to Fiona? Why was it that someone as vicious and selfish as me was living the good life she once wished for? Chapter 10. The Ku family's downfall came even faster than I expected. The Ning family cut off all cooperation with them. Smaller companies followed suit, afraid to offend the Nings. And after that banquet, people had seen the Ku family's true faces. Other powerful families doubted their character, and many also cut ties. I suddenly realized the sheer pressure of being a top-tier aristocratic family like the Nings. The Ku family began turning on each other. Father Ku scolded Quinn for being useless. Quinn blamed Father Ku for poor decisions. Mother Ku cried all day. Tiffany lost her life of privilege, with her fake heiress identity exposed. Her biological parents revealed as the ones who killed the real daughter. She was shunned by society. Later, Father Ku somehow heard that if he handed Tiffany over to me to vent my anger, the Ning family might spare the Ku family. But before he could act, Tiffany had already fled overnight with money. The Ku family panicked completely. Without money, without allies, they flailed like headless flies. Their troubles were posted online. Anyone who dug deeper easily uncovered the truth. The media swarmed the story, exaggerating and spreading it further, with business rivals piling on, malicious competition, and old scandals once suppressed by power now all coming to light. The Ku Corporation became a rat on the street, hated by all. Soon, the Ku Corporation shut its doors for good. Meanwhile, the two baby-switching cases in Lee Village drew attention. Authorities were sent to investigate. They discovered that Lee Village was actually a transit hub for human trafficking. The guilty were punished, the innocent spared. For a time, the media exploded again. The central government even issued a statement, reminding everyone to watch their children closely, especially newborns. Guardians must remain by their side at all times to prevent abductions, swaps, or malicious baby switching. Chapter 11. On the day I went to school, someone suddenly covered my mouth and nose. I cooperated and pretended to faint. The trunk was filled with a damp, moldy smell without showing anything on my face. I pressed lightly on my watch. Snippets of conversation drifted in from the front. Alicia, that bitch. I'll never let her off easily. Don't be impulsive. Once we get the ransom, everything will be fine. The man's voice dripped with venom. It took me a while to realize it was Quinn. I subtly adjusted my posture to be more comfortable, my fingertips lightly tapping the smooth surface of the watch. The cold touch of the metal gave me a sense of security. The Ning family and the police should already be tracking this van using the locator. After the Koo family's bankruptcy, the Ning family worried something might happen to me, so they had a tracker installed in my watch. The moment the alarm was triggered, both the Ning family and the police would immediately know my location. After going bankrupt, Father Koo and Quinn Koo, proud as ever, refused to start over from the bottom. But who would dare hire men with their reputation? As a result, they were burdened with debts while idling their days away. And since I'd been wondering how best to send them to prison, wasn't this the perfect opportunity? I didn't know how long it had been before the van suddenly screeched to a halt. My body lurched forward, my forehead nearly hitting the partition. "We here?" Quinn's voice carried an edge of impatience. Then came the sound of a door opening, followed by approaching footsteps. The trunk was yanked open, sunlight stabbing into my eyes and forcing me to squint. Quinn's twisted face loomed in front of me, his gaze cold and vicious. "Alicia, you never thought this day would come, did you? Who told you to stand up for that dead Fiona? Today you'll learn your lesson." Just then, sharp sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder and closer. Quinn's face instantly turned pale. "Why are the police here?" His accomplice panicked too, fumbling to shove me back into the trunk. Too late. I snapped the ropes and kicked him away. Several police cars screeched around the corner, quickly surrounding the van. Officers raised their guns, shouting, "Don't move! Release the hostage!" Quinn still tried to resist, but before he could act, the police rushed him to the ground. With a click, the handcuffs snapped shut around his wrists. He struggled, glaring at me with venom. "You did this?" I stood up, dusted off my clothes, and waved the watch in front of him. "Did you really think everyone was as stupid as you?" Before long, the Ning family also arrived. Mother Ning rushed forward and hugged me tightly, her voice trembling. "Are you all right? Were you hurt?" I shook my head, then glanced at Quinn and the other kidnappers being dragged away. The heavy weight in my heart finally eased. Quinn and his accomplices were lawfully arrested for kidnapping. Father Koo was also implicated for the financial crimes tied to the Koo family's bankruptcy. Both were sent to prison. Mother Koo, completely unaware, only regretted it when her husband and son were locked up. But by then, it was far too late. Chapter 12. That night, I had a long dream. In the dream, Fiona didn't die in Lee Village. Instead, she safely returned to the Koo family. But because she had suffered severe injuries, she was kept in the hospital. At first, the Koo family often visited her, yet their faint sense of guilt over losing their daughter soon faded away, worn down by the fake heiress's subtle manipulations. Later, they were busy celebrating the fake daughter's entrance banquet, her birthdays, and other events. No one remembered the girl in the hospital. Finally, when Fiona had mostly recovered, she returned home, but her parents and brother still treated the fake daughter like treasure, terrified she might suffer the slightest grievance. Fiona, caught in between, became awkward and out of place. Because of years of labor, even after time in the hospital, the wear of hardship still showed on her body. Malnourished, frail, prematurely aged, her condition was hard to change. Meanwhile, the fake daughter bloomed radiant like a white swan, making Fiona look more and more like an unwanted ugly duckling. The fake daughter wasn't simple. She deliberately framed Fiona, fabricating evidence that Fiona was jealous and bullied her. Then, acting pitifully, she claimed it had nothing to do with Fiona and pretended she wanted to leave the Koo family. Would the Kus ever agree? Of course not. Instead, they vented all their anger on Fiona, leaving her no way to defend herself. Backed by the Koo family's favoritism, the fake daughter escalated even further, even hiring people to stage a kidnapping. The kidnappers forced the Koo family to choose between the two daughters. The fake daughter, looking noble and selfless, declared that since she had stolen Fiona's identity, she would not let the Koo family suffer because of her. So she sacrificed herself, leaping into the sea to give Fiona a chance to live. Fiona survived, but was hated all the more by the Koo family. They decided everything was her fault and abused her even more viciously. Just when the Koo family's guilt toward the fake daughter reached its peak, the girl suddenly returned, saying she had been saved by a kind stranger. After that, Every time the kidnapping was mentioned, the Koo family doted on her even more, until they finally drove Fiona out of the house. Penniless. Fiona starved to death on the street. In the dream, those hopeless, empty eyes suddenly locked with mine. The sight was hauntingly familiar. Where had I seen them before? Then it hit me. When Fiona died, she had been overjoyed to learn she was the Koo family's real daughter. She still had a strong will to live. But then, somehow, her beautiful eyes dimmed, reflecting only emptiness and death. After a resuscitation, the doctor shook his head in regret. The patient lacked the will to survive. She had no desire to live. I couldn't believe it. Impossible. She was just happy a moment ago. She knew she was the Koo family's real daughter. How could she not want to live? The doctor sighed. We did everything we could, but her injuries were too severe, and her body too depleted. The fact that she even made it to resuscitation was a miracle. Stumbling, I rushed to Fiona's bedside. She had awakened briefly, her hand gripping mine with the force of someone at death's door. Fiona, hold on. You'll be all right. You must be all right. Fiona shook her head weakly, whispering, Ollie, I had a dream. I dreamt I went back to the Koo family, but they treated me so badly. Fiona, that was just a dream. The Koo family has money. They can cure all your illnesses. You'll go to school. You'll live a rich life. Her eyes flickered with hope. Ollie, can you go and see them for me? If they're good, tell me. If they're not, then I don't want them. Then she coughed up a great mouthful of blood. Ollie, I'm leaving. Take care of yourself. The one I worry about most is you. So she had known her ending all along. That was why she had no will to live. Chapter 13. Mother Koo became utterly alone. She had lived her entire life in luxury, without the slightest survival skills, and in the end could only beg for food. When I saw her again, she was in rags, her hair filthy and disheveled, completely unrecognizable from the elegant and noble Madame Koo of the past. I almost didn't recognize her. Well, isn't this Madame Koo? It had been so long since she heard that title. Her expression went blank for a moment before she suddenly lifted her head, meeting my half-smiling eyes. It's you. Alicia? Her eyes lit up. She scrambled toward me, trying to grab the corner of my clothes. Alicia, I know we were wrong. Please forgive us. Give us a way to live. I stepped back a few paces, sneering. A way to live? Did you ever give Fiona one? If you had taken her home earlier, she wouldn't have died. But I bet you still don't know. There's no body under that mound at all. Mother Koo stared at me in shock. The look in her eyes gave me immense satisfaction. Lee Village. That man-eating hellhole. How could I bear to let Fiona rest there? And you, her biological parents, never once thought of moving her grave? Well then, from now on, don't bother seeing her again. Everything that has happened to the Koo family is what you deserve. She froze, tears spilling down her face, mumbling over and over, I was wrong, but what use was regret now? I strode away. Later, Martin told me that Father Koo and Quinn were faring terribly in prison. He had made arrangements so no one dared look after them. They were forced to do the hardest, dirtiest labor, and were constantly bullied. Tiffany had fled abroad, but was swindled out of her money and sold on the black market. She disappeared without a trace. Rumor had it she eventually died, miserably. I didn't bother with any of it. I returned to high school, preparing to take the entrance exam for the university Fiona had been admitted to but never lived to attend. I wanted to see for her, to walk through the campus she had longed for. When spring came again, I brought a huge bouquet, roses, lilies, daisies, roses of many kinds. I didn't know exactly what flowers she liked, but I figured she must have liked all beautiful flowers. I laid the bouquet before her gravestone and whispered to those beside me, you should head back first. I'd like to be alone with Fiona for a while. Martin and Emma exchanged a glance, then left one after another. I gently caressed the gravestone as warm sunlight fell. Even the cold stones seemed to glow with warmth. Fiona, I avenged you. Everyone who hurt you has been punished. You don't have to be afraid anymore. Fiona, I'm going to take the college entrance exam this year. Do you think I can get into the same university you did? You always said I was dumb, stubborn, and inflexible. Well, Look at me now. I sent everyone who bullied you to prison. Doesn't that make me smarter? Fiona. I'm living a good life now. The Ning family treats me well too. If you were here, I know you'd be happy for me. Just then, a sparrow flew down, landing softly on my shoulder. It brushed its tiny head against my cheek, circled above my head once, and slowly flew away. Watching its departing figure, I suddenly smiled.